Bethesda's long-awaited next game is finally on the way, that with the Elder Scrolls Blades. We've known for a while that this was going to be the next game after Fallout 76, but we didn't actually know when. It had kind of an interesting past if you followed it over the past 6 months to a year. Leading up to Bethesda's past E3 event, many people were expecting some kind of mobile announcement, and we got that. And frankly, it looked pretty interesting and cool, especially if you were an Elder Scrolls fan. It was a mobile exclusive, at least for the time being, but there was a demo at E3 that you could play. Todd Howard was watching, some people play that, but even though the game was announced as coming out in 2018, as the end of the year approached, we didn't see anything. It was kind of like, hey, what happened? That was coming out this year, right? And then finally, with just 1 month left in the year, we did get this tweet, which announced that it would be coming early 2019. This delay leading to a lot of speculation among what's going on with the game, especially considering the other game Bethesda released during this time was, of course, Fallout 76. So even though it is just a mobile game, Blades being a success definitely would be a nice win for Bethesda Game Studios, something they certainly are looking for. Well, either way, just yesterday we actually got more details about when we can actually start playing this game and how that's going to work. They tweeted out, "We're running a closed beta for the Elder Scrolls Blades prior to early access. Find out what that means plus the answers to various Blades questions here." And that is a link to the updated FAQ around this. So there's a couple of interesting pieces of information here that I will touch on, and it's kind of relevant to the greater Bethesda Game Studios. So I guess now's as good a time as ever. If you're not familiar with the Elder Scrolls Blades, it basically is trying to take the Elder Scrolls experience mobile. It actually has some pretty cool features, like being able to build up your own town. It will progress the story, although taking place around 10 years or so before the events of Skyrim. Whatever town that is, it is undisclosed, and that seems intentional, so we could kind of craft our own stories around it. You're actually one of the Empire's top agents, and the hometown you return to was destroyed by a local warlord, and that's probably how the game starts. So this is going to have a closed beta and early access. The closed beta is going to work as closed betas do, be under NDA, so people who are chosen to participate in this closed beta will not be able to post videos or screenshots. We saw something very similar during the stress test for Fallout 76, and they were fairly strict about that. Very little actually got through the cracks, at least unofficial forums. And even further, that's not just videos and images, you also can't talk about the game if you're in that closed beta. But something that is pretty cool, the closed beta will be the full game, also very similar to Fallout 76, but only on iOS. So if you're on Android, this is not something you're going to be able to participate in. But speaking of participants, how are they going to decide who gets invited to this closed beta? It'll probably work in a similar way to Fallout 76. It'll be anyone who signed up for this. Right now on the Elder Scrolls website, you can sign up for early access, so I assume that's the pool of participants they'll be picking from, but potentially other people like members of the media. Although as of right now, I haven't gotten an invite or not. That could mean I'm not invited at all. I don't tend to cover a ton of Elder Scrolls stuff, or it could mean they just haven't gone out yet. They really don't mention anything about the when of the closed beta. It seems like it's probably on a need-to-know basis when you're invited, although the original tweet that did go out makes it seem like it's either now or going to be very soon. But then following the closed beta, we will also have early access. They don't mention an explicit date outside of just spring. Spring actually is the dates from March 20th to June 21st, so that's a fairly wide range as to when this could go live, although not everyone's going to gain access at the same time. It'll be on a rolling basis. So again, use that form I showed you guys earlier. That is actually for early access. I'm just speculating maybe it'll be how you get into the closed beta also. And early access is going to be a bit broader. It'll be available on iOS and Android. It also will be the full game, just like the closed beta, and nothing will be NDA'd. So this is when we'll probably start getting a lot of those shared images and videos, but also your progress will carry over from early access to the full game. Although even here, they don't actually mention when the full game of the Elder Scrolls Blades is getting released. It also doesn't really seem like Blades is going to have those time slots like we kind of saw with Fallout 76's beta, where you only had a limited amount of time to play each day. It seems like this is going to be your traditional beta where it just opens up and you have full access for that set amount of time. So honestly, that all sounds pretty cool, and I'm pretty curious about the development cycle around this game. I do really wonder if the reason it originally got delayed from 2018 to now early 2019 was because of Fallout 76. Maybe they realized Blades wasn't going to live up to expectations and they couldn't have 2 losses on their hands, or at least 2 major losses. If they released Elder Scrolls Blades at the end of 2018, right around when all that Fallout 76 controversy was in full effect, there's no doubt in my mind it would have been picked to pieces, and it would have just degraded Bethesda's image even further if it didn't live up to expectations. I honestly think it is a really smart move to delay it and wait till some of that controversy dies down and then have a more natural release. It is interesting how it's releasing in early access. I'm quite curious as to what that will entail, because you are getting access to the full game. Are they just using the terminology early access to mean a beta? Heading further, will the early access be more akin to a traditional beta, where people play the game maybe a few months before release and then they hopefully fix all of those bugs, or will it be like Fallout 76's beta, where it leads into the game's release? As of right now, I'm not too sure, but either way, I think it's actually going to be really interesting to follow this game in light of what happened with Fallout 76. I'd argue that how Bethesda handles this, what state it releases in, and what kind of marketing we see around the game will be reflective of what they've taken from the Fallout 76 situation, or if any changes have been made. Or, maybe even Pete Hines or Todd Howard will make an appearance, because they've kind of been in the dark ever since Fallout 76. Although, in all honesty, I can't blame them for that. So let me know in the comments down below. Are you excited for this game? Hopefully I do get into one of these betas and I can bring some footage to you. It may require me to buy a new phone, in which case then I'll probably bring a lot of footage to you. And one last thing, not related to the Elder Scrolls, but actually related to Fallout, and one Fallout in particular, Fallout 76. As far as the future of this channel goes, I think you're going to be seeing some more Fallout 76 content, but not necessarily in a negative light, but also not really in a positive light either. I have a whole series of videos that I've been working on. I've teased somewhat on the channel as far as voting goes, just actually looking at the game objectively, looking at some of the main quests, the side quests, the community, or even whether or not the game is going to have improved over the months upon months of update. What issues do still remain or don't remain. I feel like it's actually a pretty appropriate time to do all of this, because I think there's going to be somewhat of a resurgence as some of this DLC starts coming out. Now, whether or not that resurgence lasts, whether or not people stick with the game or just abandon it as quickly as they did the first time, with many people never actually making it all the way from beta to release, there still definitely will be a mix of content, but just giving you guys somewhat of a heads up that some of that stuff is coming. As always, again though, I thank you all for watching. Hopefully you enjoyed this video, and with that, I hope to see you all next time. Later.